welcome to another episode of The Heart of CX. I'm Joanna Palmer, and with me is Max Ball. And Max, we've got another guest today. Would you like to introduce him?
I would love to, Joanna. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. We have Frank Wassenbergh from Cloudnix with us today. I met him getting close to a year ago. Actually, he has a podcast that he does, and I got to guest on that, and it was a great conversation. And now that we're starting to figure out how to have our conversations, we got to get Frank. We got to get Frank. And coincidental to that, he has just put out an ebook, and there's a couple of good points, and I thought this would be something we could kind of run a conversation around. So, Frank, why don't you say hello, talk a little bit about yourself and your company and the ebook, and then we'll just kind of dig into a couple of pieces of that.
Sure. So, hello, everybody. Frank Wassenbergh here. Max, it's funny. I remember when we got you on, you were like the hottest ticket item to get back a year ago for us. You were guest number 3. I had to go through publicists and everything to get you on the horn, man. It was tough. There was a whole forms to fill out. You were top notch.
That's right.
But you were great. I loved the conversation with you. So when you called us up to do this one, I said, we have to do it. More so because, I enjoy talking to you, but also because the subject matter you're talking about is just so near and dear to our heart. Customer experience, the CX world. It's what we all live and breathe in right now. And I think during the year 2 now of the pandemic, it's more important now so than ever because that initial shock's gone. And now it's really a matter of let's adjust and let's keep this train running for people. But our firm, CloudLinks, is a consultancy for CCaaS migrations. We focus on clients, of all sizes, all industries who are looking to avoid really costly contact center migration mistakes. Core to our philosophy is that if you don't know what you don't know, bring somebody in for the experience so that you can make an intelligent buying decision. And this one is really for a lot of contact center managers, the contact center purchase is the most expensive and the most high profile thing they're going to be involved in the company. So it's good to have somebody that you can trust and rely on. And that's kind of the role we try to fill for our clients.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I hadn't thought about the stress of the actual buying. Joanna, you've lived that quite a bit.
Yes, I have lived that, and I can tell you the you don't know what you don't know. Definitely, I can underline that in cloud, and moving to cloud is definitely different than upgrading your on-prem. And
Totally different.
yeah, and just transforming that customer experience and what you're able to do in cloud that you struggled with on-prem is huge. So definitely that's a value add there in terms of holding a client's hand throughout the process to ensure that they're successful moving forward.
Yeah, and that purchase, when you start getting into it, really, it's there's hand holding involved, but most contact center managers are super intelligent people that know exactly how to run a contact center well, right? But if their technology has been legacy, all of their processes have been hampered by that. So they've been kind of duct taping things together to get them working. My THs get pronounced as T sometimes. My Queen's accent kicks in, so forgive me. We and one of the things we try to do is get them to make the investment, but also not make too much of an investment up front, because you dive in with both feet to this, and they're all excited because now managers and CEOs are like, well, let's get this, let's know this, and let's figure this out. And there's false starts everywhere. The pitfalls are everywhere with that kind of thing. So a big chunk of what I do, and Joanna, just from your conversations, it seems like you're in the same boat, is trying to get people to buy the right stuff at the right time and not take on a bigger bite of this than they can.
Right. And with all of the possibilities there with cloud, it is so tempting to try to boil the ocean out of the gate, for sure. And it does take a multi-year approach, multi-phase approach to really ensure that your change management is keeping up with the technology and that you really have that successful transformation.
I'm always shocked by people's inability to understand the concept of phasing. It's such a simple thing, and it is so life-saving. And yet I can't tell you how many times, oh yeah, we're doing everything. And I'll just be like, well, have you thought about, and they act like, oh my God, I never thought of that before. It's just interesting to me how unintuitive something as intuitive as that is.
We've boiled that down to not aligning everybody in the organization, right? One of the big things we excel at is getting the CEO and the agents or the enablers speaking the same language about what's important to them. Because if you can't do that translation and have those alignment of goals, inherently what she wants as the CEO and what he wants as the agent are totally different things. And they if you build the experience and what you're going to do for the agent to what the CEO wants, it's not always going to work. And you got to get those goals aligned. That's why phasing is paramount, because you got to get everyone on the same page.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
and a lot of times it's education and familiarization. I've gotta tell you, playing a contact center call to non-contact center stakeholders is huge, showing really what that life looks like, and it's one of the ways that I was able to gain momentum in getting the approvals for our contact center transformation. It's listen to this call that should have taken 30 seconds, that took 6 minutes and 4 different agents.
That,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
interesting. You talk about that so proudly. And if I was a contact center manager, I would be so scared to air that dirty laundry, but that's what you got to do.
You have to do
Interesting.
that to show and what happened was, wow, poor customer, but even more than that, it was, wow, poor agents. They have to do this day in and day out. They don't have the tools that they need and the integrations that they need to be able to effectively service these customers.
And hopefully at some level it's, wow, look at all that money going out of my pocket when I'm paying $6 and 5 call transfers versus 32 cent or whatever the numbers are. Just the amount of wasted time, minutes versus seconds, is so expensive.
And it's funny, that's actually kind of rule 5 in our ebook that we just put out on LinkedIn. It's if you can't get your systems to communicate well, don't expect miracles from your enablers, right? So, how many screens do these poor people have to go through? How many people do they have to chat to get an answer? How backed up is the helpline for them to be chatting to someone asking for help? How many times are they standing up being like, I got another one, or how many
Yeah,
times
which
does
is
this
which is really fun to do when you're at home. Your dog who's chasing after your wife might notice, but that's about it.
and you've got these poor agents who are sitting there, these poor enablers sitting there going, listen, I don't have access to information easily. And getting back to everyone speaking at the same tone, it could be a problem where sales just isn't putting in contact information. And
Right,
it's
right.
done by the time it gets to the customer service enabler, they don't have the information. They need sales has their commission or if it's a B2B or a B2C sale. But those poor enablers are sitting there going, I don't know who this is. I mean, we turned down a project during the pandemic, which was gut wrenching for me to have to do, because no matter what, at the end of the day, we could have put them on the world's greatest contact center technology, but they would have hated us when we were done because their CRM system was not ready for it. The
Mm.
processes weren't built right. The information wasn't ready. The buy-in from all the levels of the organization wasn't ready. And I said to them, I said, we'll do this. And in 6 months when we're done, you're going to look at me and be like, nothing's fixed. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told you now. It's because you weren't ready for this. And that was
Interesting.
my pandemic war story. That was my scary one.
Yeah,
And that's a great point, Frank.
I want to pick up on you've used the word enablers a couple of times, and I don't typically call contact center agents enablers. So tell me a little about using that term and the logic behind it, because I know that's not something you're just doing lightly. There's some thought behind that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. It's funny when we first got into this CX experience world of the business. We everyone was calling them agents, and naturally we picked up the jargon and we went with agents, and it worked out. But what we were discovering was that when you look at them, when you look at these people as agents, you're almost looking at them like a cost center, and you're almost looking at them like a tool, right? And you're trying to buy a cheap tool to get the most out of it so that your ROI is high. And we came up with a philosophy. Actually, my partner really put voice to it and said the contact center agent is the most forward facing person carrying your mission statement forward as an organization. They're on the front lines. They're the tip of the spears. So if you look at them as agents, you're not looking at it the right way. If you look at them as the enablers of your mission statement, the ones that are the tip of the spear and they are carrying the mission statement forward, you're going to look at them as something that needs to have an investment made in their success. It changes the whole paradigm of what those people are doing for your business. They're not taking customer calls. They're carrying the mission statement forward. So let's enable them and let's let them have the right tools that they can enable our customers to say good things about us when the conversation's over. And that's why we kind of coined that phrase enablers, and we try to use it as much as possible. And, sometimes my brain goes back and forth, but it's really where I think the shift in focus for what they're doing for you is really puts voice to the mission.
And that's a great point in terms of enabling those contact center employees to be able to provide that best customer experience, to be able to make the decisions to make whatever that question is or concern is for that customer right, is really going to drive your customer experience forward. And especially during COVID, where the contacts are getting more difficult, where you need more empathy than ever before in order to handle those simple tasks are no longer there in the contact center. Those should all be automated by now. It really is this next level of employee that's handling these customer interactions. And I love the rebranding. I definitely think that this is needed throughout the industry. Agents are no longer agents. They're no longer transactional.
Yeah. And that's where you get into the pennies a minute thing conversation. They're not agents. Don't worry about it. Don't think of them like that way. The last 5 or 6 conversations we've had, cost is always important, but it's really what they're getting out of it that's always driven it, which is different than, say, a hosted VoIP conversation. Cost is important, but let's make these people, Max laughs because he's played in the UCAS world long enough to know that cost is very important in that world. But no, it's a different thing. These people, the managers and the C-level people are saying, no, I need to have these enablers powered properly to do the job.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We use empathy, the word empathy, a lot. Empathy agents, and to kind of talk about. And Joanna hit on something that I think is really critical, which is the way technology. We're getting bots and we're getting things like that, and so much of the simple stuff gets thrown aside, and so there's kind of the job changes because now what they're doing are only the hard questions, but then there's also the technology of can they get what they need.
Yeah, I think, Joanna, how many conversations have you had with people where 2 minutes into it, you have to reset their expectations about what the technology is actually going to do for them? Because their thought was, no, the bot's going to do that. And you're like,
Right.
no, this is not Knight Rider. This is not Kit running around saying, I got this covered, It's a totally different cup of tea, right? I mean, you probably had to reset expectations a dozen times in the last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And agents aren't going away by any means. It is, how do you add value to those interactions? How do you drive revenue? And I'm not talking upselling here. I'm talking stickiness. I'm talking relationships. And that's really what this group does. It is building the stickiness, making that effort or reducing that level of effort and driving the relationship with that customer forward. And bots aren't going to do that.
No.
Bots can answer transactional type of questions, but they can't build the relationship.
Yeah, we stick with in that vein, we stick with what we call dynamic information and static information. And static information is great. When's my appointment? I booked I had a Verizon technician showing up at my house the other day. He was going to be late. I couldn't do the meeting. So through the course of 3 or 4 text messages, I rearranged the call. And the person showed up 2 days later at a different time. That's easy. You're dealing with a scheduling software and you're managing it. But
Yeah.
I have fraud on my system. I need to redo my travel arrangements. My dishwasher is broken. A bot's not the person that's going to talk to me and say, you know what, that stinks, man. Let me work with you. And it's also not going to be professional in its conversation to show that empathy, which, listen, empathy is something it's tough to train. because your parents have to train that through your whole life. So it's tough to really get to people. So there's a little bit of
Mhm.
structure to it where keeping the communications formal and professional is good. Charlotte Purvis actually wrote a great book on that called The Customer Communication Formula, which I think ties directly into how to show empathy, how to be yourself, but do it in a professional and formal way, because a lot of enablers are really burnt out by now. You know,
Um, I have a question. Both you guys work with so many customers and talk to so many people out there. No need to name names, but do you have an example of somebody who's really moved their agents into the right kind of enabler role where they are, the simple stuff is well handled and they're really much more doing the empathy job, if you will?
sure. I mean, I'll let Joanna. Why don't you go first? Because your position probably has you talking to a lot more sales reps and on a lot more calls than I am.
Yeah, yeah, and it does have to do a lot with transforming your back end systems as well as your contact center. It is an entire transformation that has to happen a lot of times. Going back to what you had said earlier, Frank, on just having these enablers, these agents have to handle so many different systems in the back end due to legacy siloed systems and not being prepared for that transformation. It is a complete analysis of all of their systems and how they work together, how your CRM works with your contact center, works with your ERP. And it is that ecosystem, really. And so that has to be solved before you can free up your reps to be those enablers.
Yeah, I think I agree with you 100%. I mean, you have those bellwether brands like Costco, USAA, who I'm a member of.
Mm.
Instacart right now, a new lifesaver during the start of the pandemic. These are organizations that kind of have that figured out, right? The enablers are powered to do their job. They can handle any level of transaction that you want them to do. You can communicate with them on a variety of means, and they're not forced to go back through 17 layers of approval to do something. I mean, I just did a transaction the other day. I'm redoing my kitchen, and I have 4 kids, and we decided it would be a good idea to get a white rug in the kitchen on the floor.
Genius.
Genius, right? So I bought one of these washable rugs, and I put it in, and we put it in the wash, and it comes out, and it looks worse than when I put it in. And I'm like, "What is
Oh,
this?
no.
This is completely paradoxical from what it's supposed to be. This is totally not the way the world should." My mind was fried when it came out looking worse. I called the company, and their empathy level was unbelievable. Send us a couple pictures, no problem. Within 6 minutes of being on the phone with them and sending the photos to them right from my iPhone. I mean, I just took the picture, sent it to them while I was on the phone with the rep. Don't worry, we got a new rug coming out to you. That shouldn't be the way it is. Keep the old one. New one will be there in 3 days.
So
Wow.
that's huge. And I've got
Unbelievable.
an example of just the opposite of that. So that
I
is
got a
the
lot of
way the
opposites.
customer experience should be. This week, I had gotten new slippers for Valentine's Day, and the
Aw.
stitching was coming out, right?
Oh.
So
Unacceptable.
unacceptable. So that, like, one of my slippers, complete blowout on one of the sides from the slipper, the seam coming out. So I contact the retail location and said, "Hey, these were a gift. I'd like to get a replacement." Sent them a picture via chat showing that the seam was completely blown out, and they came back and they're like, "Okay, for I'm going to make a one-time exception for you because this is beyond the 30 days. Please return them. I'll send you a return label. Please return them in new unused condition, and we'll put a credit on your account for you to buy new slippers." And I'm like, "Okay, number one, my feet are going to be cold. I still use these even though they're falling apart. So you can't just send me the new slippers. I've sent you a picture. You can see that they're falling apart." And it's just process has to be there with the technology. It's got to be this holistic, customer centric organization.
But if you think about just that conversation, Joanna, you were made to feel like it's your fault.
Yeah,
Right.
You were
Right.
made to be without the product or service until they got it back and could validate that you weren't going to steal a pair of slippers from them. You know,
right.
there's enough wrong with that process that the greatest technology in the world can't solve that.
Right. And the hoops she had
Exactly.
to jump through and the time. Okay, I got a story right down the middle. It's an awesome agent story with a conversation that never should have had to happen. It was the company that manages our stock options, and I wanted to transfer some money. I was helping my daughter with a big transaction. I needed to actually do a wire transfer, which I don't know if I've ever done before. And I went online to do it, and I filled in the form, and I did this, and I did that, and then I did this. And then when I went to do it, it told me I had done it all wrong. So the automated process sucked. It was horrible. And this was Sunday afternoon, and the money had to be there Monday. So I'm now in a real dead, horrible panic. I called on a Sunday. I called, and I got someone who knew every ounce of everything.
That's
Genius,
great.
friendly, I always, given my job, I'm always like, so you working from home? How's that going? Great conversation about, just all the enabling, well, both all the empathy of, oh, this is bad and this is this, and then the enabling of, oh, here's how you do it. And the process on their website to wire transfer money, you started at messages. It was
Yeah.
just arcane and bizarre. So it was like the agent experience couldn't have been better. Why did I have to have it?
Yep.
Right.
It's just kind of a different flavor.
No, it's a perfect example, and that's really what it comes down to. Like, you want to use that brand. You like the brand, you've heard good things about the brand, but for some reason, maybe you just have static fingers and you don't know how to work a keyboard, and the
Right.
technology's not working. If you're like me, I get on the computer, I start doing stuff, and halfway through it, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I just get frustrated. I don't want to do it anymore. If it's more than 5 steps, I'm done. But the technology was there to do it. Something went wrong because technology goes wrong. And you found somebody on a Sunday that could do the job for you. And now you're on a show saying how good the experience was. And you're probably telling
Exactly.
10 people to use them. It's just that inaction on the website portion could cost them customers, but the experience now brings them customers. It's really powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good mix of both. I, you know, I think that's a great note to kind of wrap up a little bit on, Frank. Why don't you talk a little? We stole a lot from your ebook, but we didn't really talk about it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, we put the ebook together because we spent a lot of years, but really in the last year, we've seen more flavors of things done right and things done wrong, and people not prepared to make the transition than we have in the last 10. And we just wanted to get some piece of literature out there to say, this is what we're seeing, this is what the world is, and here's a couple rules that are by no means absolute, but they're more of a guardrail to say, if you're thinking about these principles, you'll be on the right track. Now, there's a myriad of things. If you do a project and implementation of a contact center, there's 1,000 lines in that spreadsheet. But here's really 10 things that are concepts that you can build from. And these are meant to be guardrails. They're meant to keep you focused. They're meant to keep you at a high level so that everybody understands that these are the things we're going for, and that we can sing from the same hymnal and get this project done well and avoid really costly mistakes. We have rules around for is gamification right for your culture? Is the tool
Oh,
right for your culture? That's a big. Everyone's like, gamification's the greatest thing in the world, and some people, their cultures use it as a stick, and other people's their cultures use it as a carrot, and other people, the culture's like, we just don't want that. It's stupid. And if you're not aligning everyone's goals, you're destined to fail. There's different, there's one I particularly like. Proactive outreach is different than following up quickly, right? It's a very
Yep.
different thing. Do you only call customers after there's been a problem, or do you call them before they have any issue? Right. And again, it's guardrails. These are not absolute 10 rules. If you don't do these, you're going to fail, but it's meant to say, here's 10 things to think about, build your processes around these, and let's get moving forward together.
it's great. Yeah, just having some guidance on what are the right things to think about as you're moving to the cloud and as you're doing CX. That's huge. That's a really good idea.
Yeah. And it works. It's been met pretty well so far. I'm by no means J.K. Rowling's here. I haven't, but it's it's a good concepts, and it's enjoyable to do. I find the writing process kind of cathartic. It's good to get things
Mhm.
out there. We put a lot out on LinkedIn, and this was just one of the more formal things that we tried to get out there to the world.
Very
Awesome.
cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Great.
This was a great conversation. Really loved the conversation, Frank. Love the enabler for the contact center and the focus around culture. That the transformation has to have the culture around it in order to be successful. So thanks for your time today and thanks for such an engaging conversation.
No, thank you guys. I enjoyed the heck out of it. It's always fun. Max, whenever I can get you, it's fun. Joanna, it's good to meet a new friend and have a good conversation. So I'm looking forward to the hopefully the next time I can get on.
Great. Awesome. Thanks a whole lot,
Great.
Frank.
Thank
Thank
you.
you guys. Talk to you about.
Bye.